And we are live. We're live, I believe. You're listening to Save the Vibes live on KRUI 89.7 FM. I'm your host, Sweet Jorna, and today we are joined in the studio by a guest who's doing some incredible work in the Iowa City area. And I guess, what would you say that this revolves around? I have reform of the prison labor system. You're representing the 23rd Forward Iowa organization, and what all does the 23rd Forward Iowa do, and when was it founded?
Yeah, what's good, Iowa City? So my name is Zach Palmer, and I'm the founder of 23rd Iowa, Forward Iowa, my bad. We were originally founded as Coalition to Abolish Prison Slavery at Iowa in December of 2021, and just this past month we're actually in the process of rebranding to 23rd Iowa, just to kind of signify a big step in the right direction for our community advocacy and legislative advocating at the legislature. So so we're primarily based on like education and outreach for ending the 13th Amendment exception within the state of Iowa, which that's actually in the state constitution as the third amendment 23. So neither slavery or servitude shall be abolished except as punishment as a crime. If you guys have watched the 13th documentary on Netflix, or it's on YouTube as well. But anyways, if anyone's not familiar, people in prison, they're only paid 25 cents, sometimes less than that, per hour. And they're also 80% of their paycheck is taken by the state. Even if their fines are completely paid off, 80% of their paycheck goes to the DOC Central Fund. Fines if they have it, child support, which, I mean, that's all understandable, but if their fines are paid off, I believe that they should be, one, entitled to a fair, minimum wage at the very least, and then entitled to their wages as well, because we know how carceral settings are just dehumanizing. It's even when they're, if they do a 1, 3, or 5 year sentence, they come out and they're still seen as a less than human. So we just think that it really is encapsulated by the 13th Amendment exception. When you pay people 25 cents per hour, what if their family members at home, if they have a loved one, a children or a partner, and that's kind of where my story comes in. My dad was incarcerated for a couple of years in federal prison, and and he's also a single parent household due to losing my mom at a young age. So there's just a lot of barriers when he came out, and that he still faces today. And so I think if he would have been paid minimum wage, maybe he could have called home more often. He could have had more nutritional food and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
I see. This is, I didn't know there was such a personal tie to this matter. We know that this organization is concerned with the reform of the current state of the prison labor system nationally, but what are some of the wider subjects that fall under the net of slavery permitted by the 13th Amendment? And how does the 23rd Forward Iowa organization advocate for all of these injustices falling under the 13th Amendment?
Yeah, so, University of Iowa is complacent in it. We've since 1997, just under $14 million has been spent on prison labor purchases. This desk was likely purchased through prison labor. These chairs were more than likely. Actually, you can go to our Instagram and you can see these chairs. Exact same image, yeah.
Wow.
So, so when slavery was abolished in the 1800s, we kind of saw how convict leasing and basically slave patrols in the southern states, like how they were kind of, convict leasing was a way to still instill the institution of slavery, and how it just adapted, which is kind of similar themes that is articulated in the 13th Amendment, 13th documentary, my bad.
I had a question, and you have kind of already answered it a little bit, but I wanted to ask, where do we see some of these prison-made goods? As you said, some universities are complacent in this, and making, I guess, standard, all these very uniform chairs that they have throughout the entire institution. But where in the broader public might we see some like prison-made goods, or I guess. Yeah, what everyday items would an average person recognize?
Public schools, and then also license plates, even the road signs you see, they're all made in prison. You can actually go to iowaprisonindustries.com, and they have a catalog, and you can kind of see what there's a lot like during the COVID pandemic, the whole statewide that we relied on them for like bleach, PPE equipment, all that kind of stuff. So they manufactured when everything shut down. They manufactured masks, also the bleach and all of the. So mainly under the code, you have to be a state institution or a nonprofit or churches as well. But they do a lot of church pews. They also do? Then they can also contract labor where they'll work at our state parks. Actually, so I was one of 25 people in the nation selected for a Dream Justice cohort, and one of my fellow cohort members from Wisconsin, he came to Iowa and was working in the Dubuque area in the state forest doing just landscaping, cutting down trees, that kind of stuff. I think he was paid 10 cents per hour. So it's crazy to me how they're allowed to transport people through states and pay them pennies for their wages. So
it seems like this is most of the prison labor that we're seeing. It's got a lot to do with, I guess, public goods, or I guess mostly federal organizations or just governmental organizations that primarily, do they have to contract with some of these prison labor systems?
They don't have to contract, but there's a law that it says that it's necessary to get a bid from them. So especially,
so they must be somewhere in the process. If any organization's trying to find manufacturings, they have to be a part of that, I guess, consideration.
Yeah, they have to consider it, and we know, for one, state bureaucracies, how underfunded our public education is, especially. So, education, they really have no choice because, they're constantly underfunded. The state budget was just passed recently, and, there was cut to education funding, but, they have to get a competitive bid, and then say they want a new desk or they want a new chair, they have to get a bid from IPI, and then if they need like a special chair, IPI doesn't make it, then they're allowed to kind of outsource for that.
Would you say that the primary demand for these products is coming from the government itself, or are other private organizations able to, I guess, consider prison labor as a part of their production process?
By law, they're not allowed to. However, I've heard stories of, just through my community advocacy work, that I also know a gentleman that he did accounting work for the FBI. He was paid, that was more one of the high-end jobs. He made $2 per hour, coming around like $100 a month, where on the low end you're making $30 per month if you're making like 25 cents. But so it's really Department of Justice, FBI, I'm sure other federal agencies will use, because it's a cheap labor, who wouldn't want to use it? But and then as far as, what was your question again? Sorry.
No, I was just asking, is it like primarily governmental entities that use prison labor, or do we see any private companies that indulge in this as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. So I've actually heard stories of, in Rockwell, each institution in Iowa, like there are, I think, 7 to 9 prisons. They all have their own, like in Anamosa is the woodworking where they do the furniture. Rockwell, there used to be a balloon factory back decades ago. Mount Pleasant might have barbers or different kind of training. And then they also have like an apple tree farm. The state is in the process of selling all their farmland, so that's kind of a step in the right direction, fortunately. Kind of each institution has their own specialty, like, where some will be chemicals, some will be the woodworking, more industrial. I think Fort Dodge does a lot of the textiles, like all the fabrics that they use within, like the jeans and other garments they use. But back to my story, in Rockwell City, there used to be a balloon factory, and somehow they had a contract with this corporation called Anagram. Now, if you look up Anagram's actually a private corporation in Minnesota that manufactures balloons. And so basically what happened and why they had to get rid of this balloon factory was someone had put like a moldy bologna sandwich in with, it was a Paw Patrol Paw Patrol is a commercial good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Paw Patrol, it's all over. Is that Nickelodeon or I'm not sure what.
I don't know.
But,
the kids love it. It's every establishment.
But so anyways, this incarcerated worker had put like a moldy or just a bologna sandwich. It wasn't moldy at that time, but through the shipping process, it got moldy. Someone in Minnesota got it for their birthday party, for the Paw Patrol birthday party, and then there ended up being a lawsuit against Walmart or Anagram, who was a supplier.
All right, and we're back. Please, thank you so much for bearing with these technical difficulties we just had. But back to a couple of more questions. You've mentioned that this organization is not exactly directly against the idea of prison labor or labors in the incarceration system. So what would you say, what is an example of a good balance between allowing access to job opportunities while imprisoned and while avoiding that exploitative nature?
Yeah, so, well, just statewide, due to the ongoing pandemic that we're still in, with all the workforce shortages, a lot of people went to early retirement, understandably so. Well, first, let me say this, Iowa just has an overt incarceration problem. All of our institutions, they're 10 to 15% overcrowded. And think about how many people 25% of our prison population is in there for a technical probation or parole violation. So what a technical violation is, they missed an appointment, they failed a drug test. That kind of ties into, I'm a part of a Reform Alliance coalition where we're trying to get education and workforce credit. People that are on probation, we can give them basically opportunities to close their revolving doors of prison and get them into the community where they should be. So how does this tie in with our prison labor and kind of what's the balance between giving them opportunities to work and then also being receptive to equitable wages? The CEO of Dream, Nisha, she asked me this question during the cohort graduation. She's like, what if we just allowed incarcerated workers, if we allowed them to work, at jobs on the outside, and I know in some states there's investigation to the AP News. They had incarcerated people working at McDonald's. That there was video evidence or there was kind of investigative report about it, but so it does happen. Maybe not necessarily in the state of Iowa, but across the nations, it does happen. I think that we can really, this workforce shortage, if we were more, progressive, allowed them job opportunities, work release, I think there's ways that we can give them more job opportunities, not just within the carceral settings of doing the facility maintenance, janitor, food service workers, through the IPI industries. Only about under 1,000 work there. I think in 2021 it was about 600 people that worked, or maybe less than that, maybe 300 to 600. I can't remember exactly, but so our prison population, all across Iowa, only a small fraction of them work IPI jobs. Now a lot more of them will work, as food service or laundry, for example, but those aren't IPI jobs. IPI is kind of, the best jobs where they'll have those apprentice programs and other kind of certifications that they can get, like welding, what else is there? Like plumbing, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, I think, it's a fine balance, and I'm not sure exactly where it is, but, I just think the benefits outweigh the cost, so.
With there being a good balance between positive effects, I guess it's not a good balance if there are negative effects of this as well, but with there being positive effects, and allegedly some of these programs provide certifications to aid in the transition back into the, I guess, non-incarcerated world, what are some of the apparent hurdles from transitioning from being an incarcerated individual and, I guess, being released from the system?
Yeah, so just the being incarcerated is a lifetime sentence. I'm actually personally impacted as well. From the ages of 17 to 22, I was never in prison, but I was in an out-of-county jail for mostly drug offenses, some misdemeanor, but from the ages of 17 to 22, I was in and out of county. You did a couple week stints, ended up spending 30 days in jail, and then I got out, and I was fortunate to only do a limited amount of time. I also had a job, and I also had living. So when I got there, I had money on my books. But there was also times in the past where I had to borrow money to bond out for other offenses and that kind of stuff. And I also had to drop out of college at one time. But so I think that actually ties in really well with this event we're throwing next Sunday, April 28th from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Big Ten Theater right here in the IMU for Correcting the Narrative. So Correcting the Narrative is basically a campaign from Shannon Ross from the community in Wisconsin. So it's basically to showcase the success, humanity, and agency of people with criminal records, and that because we need to. Don't get me wrong, I understand everyone has their own morals, values to them, but we also have to incorporate how we have to accept them once they come back from society. If they went to jail, went to prison, they came out to be successful, rehabilitated themselves. We have to accept them into society. We have to give them job opportunities. We have to give them housing, because if we don't give them housing, they're going to go back to what they already knew. You know what I mean? I was fortunate to go back to college, get my AA degree, also in the process of getting my bachelor's, about, a couple credits remaining. But, so with that said, it's a lifelong sentence. The disparities between housing, jobs, even just, it's basically a lifelong sentence. So, So I just think that we need to accept people with criminal records, if they're minor, if they're rehabilitated, and also you have to look at, were they young? For me personally, 17 to 22, I was so young, and I, but I was able to, get out, and I really had to look myself in the mirror when I was in jail, and okay, this isn't working. I really have to pivot and get my life turned around, which, fortunately, I was able to go back to school and college and everything else, but other people don't have those same opportunities. Especially if they're doing longer time, they don't have family support, or if I can't imagine if I did 5 years as a whole, or even 20. Think about the technology gaps and all that kind of stuff. So there just needs to be more attention on reentry and kind of, which I have the privilege to work. I help returning citizens at my job at Inside Out Reentry. I'm a case manager, so I see firsthand what people that are getting out of prison, whether that's a couple of years, a couple months, even a couple weeks in jail. It doesn't matter. I see it all. So and just like technology gets when all across the board. So that's a long-winded answer, but that's basically it. Just.
See, the incarceration system it has, of course, the reputation of having lifelong effects. And I think it's important to throw in there that it's important to mention that not all crimes are violent. Not all criminals are violent criminals, therefore are deserving of a chance to re-enter, I guess, a normal lifestyle and have the same opportunities, especially those that committed some offenses at very young ages. That's a stamp you take with you the rest of your entire life. That being said, who has some of the most say in changing the organization and perpetuation of the prison system and prison labor in general? What could the public be most effective in aiming efforts to curb the need for prison labor goods?
Yeah, so I would just say decision makers at the county level, at the education level. I know it's kind of more complicated within the University of Iowa because we have the Board of Regents, we have all these different funding is always going to be an issue. But I would say legislators is really where we're trying to work out, that just people telling stories. I've testified at the Senate and House, at the Iowa House and Senate before. So just working with having these conversations. Even if you're not if you don't have any involvement with the prison system or jail, any of that capacities, just having these conversations with your friends, with your classmates, of how can we make a more just and equitable society, because mass incarceration is not working. It's not making our community safer, and so yeah, just contacting your legislators. If you ever needed any tips or kind of, and I don't mind like meeting at the intersection of legal reform and issues that are important to our supporters. So I'm always a resource to others, just as people have poured into me. I pour into the community. As far as like any training you want to do, if you want to lobby, let me know, and we can kind of grab a cup of coffee or just meet over Zoom or phone call, whatever works best. So yeah.
With the 23rd Forward Iowa, what are some of the broader concerns concerning broader, I guess, beliefs and goals concerning the reformation of the incarceration system at large, not just necessarily the labor system?
Yeah. So while our coalition is focused on ending the 13th Amendment exception within Iowa, more broadly, I also support reentry, alternatives to incarceration like mental health, drug diversions. What else is there? Probation, juvenile justice is a big one for me personally, just because of my own experience. Being forwarded to adult court at the age of 17, and these, so basically just. And then also education is what I'm big on as well, just because that's kind of how I turn my life around, and then also just supporting children of incarcerated parents, because they often are forgotten about in all of this. If they can lead to behavior, academic struggles as well. Like Hagen and Foster theorized that children of incarcerated parents, it's an impermeable barrier separating the college-bound and non-college-bound youth of the U.S. And if you look at the people that are formerly incarcerated, it just disproportionately impacts minorities. And then it's also, just people that have experience with the jail or prison system. Like I think for white males, that's only 5% of them, and then for Black or Hispanic, it's like 2 to 3%, I believe. That would have been from 2010, but it's on prison policy. They have some really good research, and I've done research projects on that as well. So.
Just kind of out of curiosity here, it's not even a question on my sheet. Is there any you don't have to know the answer. Are there currently any programs in place for providing assistance to children of incarcerated individuals? Is there any aid or assistance?
Yeah, so I know in the Des Moines area there's Urban Dreams. There's also what is that? Urban Dream, Creative Vision as well in the Des Moines area, specifically in Johnson County. There used to be Children of Promise mentoring program. They are in Lynn County, which I volunteered with them for 2 years in various capacities. I'm kind of just like a bridge builder with them now, but we're actually going to be planning to go to an Iowa Wolves game next September or next season, so that's something to look forward to. Daniel Johnson, he leads Children of Promise mentoring program in the Cedar Rapids area. So if anyone would like to just mentor, volunteer at that nonprofit, also Inside Out, they're always looking for volunteers, like male mentors, or just if you want to write a letter, and also you can volunteer with 23rd Forward and kind of we're not an official nonprofit, but that's something I've considered as I transition from academia to kind of my professional life. So
I guess transitioning a little bit more to talking about your organization and the 23rd Forward Party, 23rd Forward Iowa, what does the work at 23rd Forward Iowa encompass, I guess, currently? You said there is some, getting involved with their various other nonprofit organizations. and a little bit of actually interacting with the government, such as testifying in Congress or on the Senate floor. What other work does the organization personally do?
Yeah, so we've had this is gonna be our second event. We had an event at Film Scene where we screened art and crimes. Other than that, kind of back to my experience with the Dream cohort, I was one of 25 people in the nation selected for this annual cohort through dream.org, and so that's where I kind of learned how to do one pagers, how to do how to throw online and offline events. So I would like to do some webinars. It's kind of I've been focused on, building relationships with the legislators, because that's a lot of legwork within itself. Let's see what else. Johnson County proclaimed April a second chance month. I've done that for 2 years now. Let's see what else is. I was also at the Iowa State Fair with Reform Alliance. I helped table their for the fair that they had, the community board fair that they had. So
it seems like there's a lot of interactive work done in this organization. Are there any ways that the public can get involved with, joining, volunteering, and getting involved in this? Seems like a whole statewide network of organizations that you collaborate with. How can the public get involved?
Yeah, you can follow us on 23rd Forward Iowa, on Instagram, also on Facebook as well. We're also on Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter. Just reach out to me, email if you're interested in volunteering, helping collaborate. We're always looking for event space. Just recently I got connected with Unitarian Church, UU, up in Coralville, and they have a prison ministry program, and they're trying to get into the prisons. So they're doing a film screening in June, I believe, at Film Scene. And I just made a flyer for them, and they also do a lot of pen pal support in that capacity. Then I also want to shout out one of my mentors and advisors, Mary Cohen. She led the Oakdale Choir for about 15 years up until the COVID pandemic. And if anyone's musically inclined, she does a monthly singing group via Zoom. And then she also does songwriting collaborations where an incarcerated songwriter collaborates with a music maker on the outside, and they collaborate together to make a song. If you go to the Oakdale Choir website, they have some of the recorded sessions of where the songs were shared through that.
Mm-hmm. Having so much experience volunteering and organizing in general in the entire statewide network of organizations concerned with prison reform in this capacity, have there been any unique barriers or unexpected barriers encountered in these activism efforts that you've come across personally?
Yeah, so I had to fight tooth and nail with the University of Iowa just to get as a recognized student org. So that was really frustrating, but that's to be expected, so I can't be mad at that. But then, outside of that, I presented research at the Capitol. I'm also at a human rights conference up at Cole College. More at the research at the Capitol, there was just kind of insensitive comments of where people that just weren't really sensitive to the matter. But so that's more on a micro level. So I wouldn't say so. But then more so on the barriers that we face. So House File 349 through the Reform Alliance coalition so we passed the House 99-1. We also passed the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee where I testified, and there's actually a hang up in the Senate right now where basically we can't get it passed because there's one legislator, Senator Dawson from the Council Bluffs area, who is a DCI agent. He's basically saying that he's not going to sign off on this because they're just, Reform Alliance is a national organization started by Meek Mill back in 2017. he basically went to prison for a technical probation violation where he was doing a wheelie and he got sent because the judge was like, "You're a famous rapper. We're gonna make an example out of you." We're trying to get that bill passed, and then the bill that 23rd Forward is working on, Senate Study Bill 1144. Now, changing the Constitution in Iowa, that's a really hard process. It's like a 5-year process. I do know organizers in Oregon, they were able to pass a successful resolution and did the exception, but that was through a referendum. Now, unfortunately, how the Iowa Constitution is written, we can't do referendums, so we kind of have to have a grassroots effort, and just building those relationships with legislators, But then I always face, well, it was going to cost the taxpayers more. So it's just kind of how can we navigate those concerns that they may have, and how can we show it as a benefit for the long-term benefit of our communities. So.
All right. It seems like in these organization efforts, there's not only some systemic barriers, but also the general public just having a general stigma against incarcerated individuals. But it seems like we're running really close up on time here, so I think I might start wrapping up the show. Are there any upcoming events? I know you mentioned one just a minute ago, but any upcoming events in addition that the public could get involved with?
So next Sunday, Correct the Narrative, Shannon Ross from the community is probably one of the most renowned experts in the field nationwide. And then Cam Middlebrooks from Reform Alliance as well. And then we're going to have one more speaker to be named. I'll be speaking on the panel as well. And then other upcoming events. So I'll plug in Inside Out Reentry. We'll be having a spring concert in May 7th, I believe. And that will be at the Chains Swansea Park across from Film Scene. I'm not sure of the date exactly, but beginning of May. You can also, just stay updated. We 23rd Forward has a mailing list, so you can reach out to us via email at iowa.caps@gmail.com. We're in the process of rebranding our website, but just follow our socials, and that's kind of where we advertise everything. So other than that, through this summer we're going to be building out grassroots support through the Senate and the House side, and hope to put pressure since the legislation session just ended yesterday. So.
All right. Well, Iowa City, there are plenty of opportunities to get involved if you're interested. I'll probably be including those in this YouTube link when I re-upload this footage personally. And yes, Zach Palmer, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Some very insightful things were said, and there we go. Iowa City, just wrapping up for the weather. I missed the weather spot. We've got a high today of 50 degrees. It's awfully cold and windy, so I would suggest staying indoors as long as you can. We've got a powwow happening today in the Johnson County area. The UI Native American Student Association has announced the 28th Annual University of Iowa Powwow, celebrating and honoring Indigenous culture and tradition with the Iowa community. Today, it's April 20th, with the grand entry at 12:30 p.m. This year's powwow location is the Johnson County Fairgrounds, 4261 Oakcrest Hill Road, Southeast. But yes, that is happening today, April 20th, starting at 12:30. So just after this show wraps up, you should all go check it out. Once again, I'm Sweet Jorna. You're listening to Save the Vibes live on KRUI 89.7 FM. If you want to contact me or find any of the re-uploads of this show, all of my social medias are at Lenny the Fool. That's LENY_the Fool. That's Instagram, X, FKA, Twitter. I believe that's primarily where I contact people from the public. But yes, have a lovely rest of your Saturday, everyone, and back to your regularly scheduled tunes. Ava, I swear. Yo, is Liberty still in here? I don't know if Liberty left. It's been a minute since you've been in here, Liberty. Wow. Let's see. I've seen how those criminals hurt people, like that kid who pushed the lady down the stairs and put her in the ICU. It's the victims I care about, not the criminals. See, that's a very, I don't want to say shallow, but that's such a one-sided view of this entire subject. Sometimes Liberty can't lie. I wonder if you're a bot. I've had the thought before, but because we've disagreed on so many different issues. But when it comes to prison reform, not all criminals are violent criminals. If you're thinking of criminals, you're thinking about this heartless kid who pushed the lady down the stairs. That's pretty mean. They should probably be in prison. But even if it's just a little punk kid who pushed a lady down the stairs, I don't know if they should be carrying those consequences up until they're 60 years old, up until they die, having a permanent criminal record. Do you think every infraction is deserving of rotting in prison forever for the rest of someone's life? Or like, are you pro-reform? Are you thinking, man, we can take this little punk kid who's pushing grannies down the stairs and turn him into a productive individual? Because I don't think they're honestly getting the reform that they need. Staying in prison or having issues acquiring housing or identification when they leave the prison system forever. That's pretty mean. That's awful. I agree, pushing grannies down the stairs is not good. Let's not do that. And some criminals do deserve to be in jail forever, but not everyone is like that. Especially, let's see, Zach just said himself, he was, in county jail at a young age for minor, I guess, drug possession drug-related charges. All right, maybe you should be punished for a little bit, but like, does it need to be carried with someone their entire life? I don't believe so. I'm totally killing this mic. The volume on this is crazy. Is prison not supposed to be a place of reform? Oh, crap. I would like to see our current incarceration system modified into a place of reform as opposed to punishment, where people can go there, effectively learn their lesson and re-enter society in a productive way. America's all about productivity. Come on. But as of now, it's just serving to cripple massive amounts of populations, and the societal effects aren't even good. Can we say prison's a net good right now? It's good to have a place to put people that shouldn't be mixing with the rest of society. But once you even touch that place, once you touch the incarceration system, it's permanent. Like Zach just said, it's pretty permanent. You're not getting rid of that record unless you're very rich and have very powerful lawyers that can get you get your record expunged. But other than that, it's just a stain that follows you wherever you go. How can you ever reach your full potential in society if you've got a criminal record? Will you ever be able to get your, accounting job back? Will you ever be able to get the opportunity to be an accountant just because you, possess some marijuana at 17 years old? I don't agree with stuff like that. I think there should be reform in integrating prison populations back into society productively, and we should not be reliant on this unpaid labor. What does Zach say? 25 cents an hour is the federal minimum wage for people in the incarceration system, if they get paid at all. There are so many hoops. It's pretty much an inferno being in prison. I mean, I've heard about the cost it is to just stay in contact with your family, to acquire, pretty low quality commissary goods. You can't afford any of that on 25 cents an hour. And even if you are rotting in there for the rest of your life, you have to have connections on the outside of prison just to be able to live, decently in there, humanely in there. I don't want to say comfortably, but humanely. I'm just not pro-torture. That's my issue with the incarceration system. Yes, people are bad, and yes, some people deserve to go to prison. But I'm not pro this like exploitative and torturous system that's currently in place. That's what I want to advocate against. Ava, I cannot with you. Homeboy is kind of cute. If you want his number, I have it. Let's see, Liberty, I'm on the side of victims. You like criminals, good luck with that. Alright. You know, if Liberty's not actually in here, you know, I don't think we've ever finished a single stream where Liberty didn't kind of rage quit out and leave. Liberty, if you're still here, let me know. I'd like to continue the conversation. But you keep coming back. And I honestly kind of appreciate it. It's fun to have a little banter. Liberty, we disagree very often, but I enjoy having you here. And I hope you were able to, I don't know, take some informative piece of information, valuable piece of information with you from the stream before you rage quit out. Did I show Twitch the shirt, or did you see it when we took the picture? Ava, it's kind of giving your Beyonce shirt. I'm gonna wear this today. Liberty is a fan. Liberty keeps coming back. And I appreciate it. But this is pretty sick. I've never had a guest give me a whole packet of information. Here's the flyer. That is backwards. I don't even know if that's super visible. Oh, I guess it's not a packet of information. But still, a little reform legal notepad. I'll take it. I'm gonna definitely try and make it to this event, though. I know often, you know, it's very apparent I'm black. I say, oh yeah, I'll be there. And I don't go. But I'm gonna try and make this event because it's a very important cause. And I feel like it's my responsibility, you know, if I'm platforming someone, I should probably attend some of their events and especially encourage the public to get involved. I want to get involved. Can I buy a shirt? I don't exactly know. The 23rd Forward Iowa organization is, the website is currently under construction. I don't know if this is their merch, but the website's under construction. Maybe if that is their merch, it'll be available afterwards. If not, I don't know, cricket yourself one together. And it's 420. Everyone in the chat should go celebrate. Mom, divorce guru, I know you've been dabbling around. 420, you should definitely try those, was it Delta 8 or Delta 9 gummies you got? You know, just give it a go. They sell them at Allsup's convenience store. But I'm gonna head out for real. Goodbye, everyone. Hope Liberty can join us next time.